go. There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Arts Council Spoken Word and Poetry event. A few announcements and housekeeping. Next Artist Spotlight is next Thursday, August 19th, and it's a show exclusively for musicians. So we're looking forward to that. Also, this is the 6th year for the Full Bloom Film Festival, which will be held September 9th through the 11th, which is exciting. I've always liked to go to that and see the different films that everyone comes up with. And if you want more information on this event or any other event that we're doing with the Arts Council, you can go to the website that we have or our social media on Facebook and get more information there. We'd also like to thank the Arts Council for helping us host this event here, as well as all of our sponsors. So if you'll give a hand for them real quick. Yes. So the first person on the list that we're going to go through tonight, we have 10 poets and spoken word artists. It kind of intermingles here. There is a slight difference, but I think that any poem worth reading aloud is spoken word just as much as it is on the page. The first poet is your host, me. It always has to be that way. My name is Samuel Fox. I'm a Statesville native, and I am going to be reading a couple poems from a collection I have, and it is out in the foyer if you want to peruse it or feel about purchasing it. I know a lot of other poets who have their work out there would appreciate you to peruse it as well. This collection is called Mythos, and it's a kind of mythological journey through certain images of my life that I have really held on to. And I'm going to read a couple poems from this collection and then read another poet's poem to then rebut it or to talk through another poem about it. This first poem is titled Mythology. When I walk into the night, I can choose against it. When I enter a church, my fingertips catch fire. I was born under a full moon on a Wednesday, empty of everything but light. I touch my dark side like a lover would touch me. The first word I spoke, truly, was Triceratops. The first sentence, no, I want, and I still do, more than anything in this life. I'm trying to decide if I'm salty because I love too much or too completely, like an ocean that will not give up its dead. When I was young, I harvested a tree of sand on a beach made from splinters of wood and bone. Tell me we aren't God relearning its name. Tell me that this world isn't enough, and I will show you my mouth, sharp with exceptions. When I come into the light, I reflect it. When I kiss him or her or they, my eyes close as though in death, something I'm beginning to practice. And if y'all, this is not like a soft clap or a golf clap. Y'all can clap, y'all can snap, y'all can go ooh. This is like an interactive. We want the audience. Most poets like the audience to interact with them and let them know they're doing well and to correspond with them. So you are completely fine to do that at any time for any poet. This next poem is titled, I went through a period of teenage angst, so to speak. And this is a poem about that. This is called Self-Portrait and Self-Mutilation. Kind of heavy, yeah, I know. Bandaging a new graven wound, he picks gore from what is not there. A crimson stream wraps a rosary around his wrist like a blessing. It is not. He is just bleeding. In front of the bathroom mirror, his gaunt reflection mimics him to the bone. Chapped lips, hollowed eye, flared nostril. He holds his wrist until it clots, A drop teeters from between his fingers. But each cell is replaced every 90 days, his veins completely new. It falls, punctuates the faux marble countertop, a pomegranate, a sunken balloon, a rust splotch. It is very easy to wipe away. So in this collection, you'll see a lot of subversion of biblical imagery, because I grew up Christian. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll claim to be that now, but it's those images in the Bible still hold sway over me in a lot of what I write. And I still wrestle with God in my poems as much as I do any other issue. And so I don't know if y'all have heard of sending nudes to anyone. Is a common thing nowadays with the cell phone. People do this, and I thought to experiment with this in a way. So this is sending a nude to Lazarus. Don't mind the stretch marks. Don't mind the shale flaking from fresh scars. It's the same Sheol you wept in that I've captured in this selfie. Have you not ever wished to die multiple times in a night heavy and bright as whalebone? This big mood I'm ambered by and inside, this lonely trench in which I've made a home, must be similar to the salt beaches of Galilee. When you see the light, blinded again twice by the airy bright of flesh or stone rolled away, does the stark silhouette of human form blight or transfixed? Does it simply undress into day? Don't mind the scabs. Don't mind how weak, how pale I become before the loves I know I've failed. Thank you. I'll read one more from this collection, and then I'm going to read a poem by James Wright to go into my last poem. This is the last poem in the collection. It too is titled Mythology. My lips are rose quartz these days, beautiful and jagged around a cigarette. My fingers fidget with the knives I stole from the circus. Sometimes they get too heavy for my fingers and slip between them. They sink into the dirt and disappear like silver slivers of ghosts I never knew haunted me. My hands are glass these days, serrated and glowing under moonlight. My feet hollow like armor, and they glow like machines for the well-oiled rotation of the earth. I do not know where I am going, with this or with anything else. All I know is that I haven't tasted warmth in years. All I know are knives are only good for murder and cutlery. All I know are ghosts don't exist unless you ask them to remain. All I know are my hands break just to hold this out to you. Take this. It's not much. It's a word I've come to repeat like a mantra for repentance. Heaven. Heaven. It's what I live for. What I will die before I get to see. This next poem is a famous poem by James Wright. He's one of my favorites, and his son, Franz Wright, is also one of my favorite poets. This is titled, Lying in a Hammock at William Duffy's Farm in Pine Island, Minnesota. Some of you may know this poem. Over my head, I see the bronze butterfly, asleep on the black trunk, blowing like a leaf in green shadow. Down the ravine, behind the empty house, the cowbells follow one another into the distances of the afternoon. To my right, in a field of sunlight between two pines, the droppings of last year's horses blaze up into golden stones. I lean back as the evening darkens and comes on. A chicken hawk floats over, looking for home. I have wasted my life. And this poem, the last poem I'll read for you, is after reading Lying in a Hammock at William Duffy's Farm in Pine Island, Minnesota, by James Wright, in parentheses, in Ars Poetica. Yes, the twilight, gray, and overcast sunset are inconsequential, as are the sounds of the crows barking at the black snake, minding its prey through the winter wheat. Yes, the linseed-oiled light through the passing rain clouds on their way east, and the sounds of revving motorcycle engines, and the smell of petrichor mingling with gardenias and hydrangeas is, too, inconsequential. The poet can go on living this life until his body becomes nutritious to everything but his own. Drizzle tinkers with the dry garden, and the tomato plants perk up in the receding light. All across the world, there are moments that go on without us. The small catastrophes amount to their weight in memory. When E and A and D overdosed. When A left to relearn the meaning of sobriety. When J and M forgot my name and phone number, never to answer when I missed them. The point to all of this is that, yes, art isn't going to save the world. We have to individually account for small indecencies and correct this trauma-stricken love ourselves. When the nightingale sings, adjacent to my shadow in a chair watching the rain gallop away beneath its silver saddles, I realize I, like Wright, am choosing to waste my life. Any art will whittle away at the soul that chooses to pen or paint or capture down the world. This is fine. The darkness coming on strong like a fragrance I thought I'd never smell again, akin to my father's cologne I only wear when I miss him, coos the porch light to turn on. It is fine to let the mystery of purpose force you to change. But I have learned it is okay to waste your life. Because to what consequence do we serve if not to observe, lingering a little while in the setting sun, the fleeing songs, the trembling chrysanthemums, and the vapor rising into the air after a southern thunderstorm? I know no better purpose than to serve the world, even a God I can hardly believe in any longer, by accepting the offer of being unacknowledged, nearly invisible, and falling madly into the love of this existence. Tonight, I will leave my pen by the desk, set up my easel, and paint the moon as I see it, a porcelain mirror in which the sun lets down his hair. Thank you, guys. Our next poet for the evening is a local Statesvillian as well, is Les Brown, and I would like to invite him to come up and introduce himself and read some poems for y'all, if that's okay. Please give him a hand.